Today's episode of E&P Reports is something special and honestly one of the most vital conversations we've brought you yet. We're taking you inside a live session from America's Newspapers 2025 News Industry Mega Conference in Orlando, where I had the honor of moderating a panel that tackled some of the hardest questions facing our industry. Should newspapers continue endorsing political candidates? Should opinion pages evolve or disappear altogether in today's polarized climate? Joining me on the stage were three incredible leaders: David Dunrankin, owner and CEO of DR Media; Michael McCarter, VP, Group Editor and Opinion Editor for the USA Today Network; and of course, our friend Rob Curley, editor of the Spokesman Review in Spokane. We weren't alone, though. Over 150 news media executives filled the room, and they didn't just listen, they participated. Throughout this session, we asked 5 critical poll questions about the future of opinion journalism, endorsements, and reader trust. You're going to see live results on the screen, some of which even surprised the panelists. In just a moment after the break, we'll take you right to the stage for this very fast-paced, no-holds-barred conversation. But a quick heads up, this episode runs a bit longer than usual. But the issues we tackle and the solutions we discuss are too important to edit or rush through. If you care about the credibility, sustainability, and community impact of your newsroom, I promise you, you'll want to stay with us till the very end. So stick around. After the break, we'll go live to the stage in Orlando.
This episode of E&P Reports is exclusively sponsored by Blocks Digital, formerly Town News. Even though the name has changed, their commitment to the media industry is as strong as ever. Blocks Digital is now even better positioned to deliver integrated solutions like content management, audience development, advertising revenue, video management, and more. Join the over 2,000 news publishers worldwide that power their ongoing digital transformation with Blocks Digital, serving over 141 million monthly users who view over 6.5 billion pages of content each year. You can trust Blocks Digital to empower you, to connect you at scale with the community you need to reach. Blocks Digital, formerly Town News, now reimagined to help meet the news publishing challenges of tomorrow and beyond. Learn more at blocksdigital.com.
Unsigned editorials. What's an unsigned editorial? Well, in a way, it's when your brand, your paper, your masthead makes an endorsement or puts out a statement on behalf of the brand, not an individual, but your. So the question is, does your news organization still publish unsigned editorials or political endorsements? And to get our conversation kicked off, I am really honored to have these three gentlemen on the stage. Moreover, there's a method to our madness who they are. I'm going to start off with David Dunrankin. David, you're the little guy. Well, you're tall, but you're the little guy. I mean, I've known your career. You've bought and sold. You're a media mogul. You're well respected in the industry. You helped shape this organization. But correct me if I'm wrong, you're running small community newspapers not too far from here in very red small markets. Am I correct, sir?
That's exactly right.
And your audience is pretty politically active. Am I correct?
Politically active on the right-hand side.
That's where you're at.
Yes.
And you have to make tough decisions about editorials, opinions, and what have you. Now, I want to introduce, if I may, Michael McCarter. We were honored to get Michael. Michael, you're like head of all op-ed for one of the largest media companies in the United States. We're talking Gannett. Am I correct, sir? What is your official title at Gannett?
My official title is VP of the Opinion Group for Gannett. Standards and Ethics.
So even the local publishers have to come through you, or you guide them in each individual market of where we are in op-eds and opinions, correct?
We have discussions. They don't have to come through me for what they write. We have market autonomy, but we do have best practices. So they do come and talk to me about best practices.
And you obviously have policies that you dictate down to what they should or shouldn't run or not.
I don't like the word dictate, but we do have conversations about what we should and shouldn't do, yes.
Okay, good. No one knows Rob Curley, am I right? I mean, but we brought up Rob back for a reason. Rob, you're the middle guy, Spokane, a mid-sized market. But moreover, you're going to be the first one I ask this question to, Because in your past, you have run the editorial teams of some award-winning brands all over the United States. You're now in Spokane, and you've shifted over the years. Am I correct? You used to do unsigned editorials. Am I correct? In all your markets, we endorse the political candidate. We say vote this way, that way. Where are you at today in Spokane?
We no longer endorse candidates. Look, when I started in this industry, we were still figuring out how the internet and everything works. Well, now we know how it works, and people know where they're going to get their opinions from. I mean, when Ben Franklin was doing this, it was he was the only game in town. Now you can get him wherever you want. So for us, it was we need to really focus in on the facts, and we're going to tell you what's going on and everything, and you need to be a responsible adult and make your own decisions. For me, it was some morning you wake up and you go, wow, our mission statement is literally in our name. News paper, not opinion paper, and for such a polarized world, the best way for me to make a stand is to tell the truth.
All right, so it's just not part of the ecosystem anymore, in your opinion. Those are old world philosophies from a dark era that we should no longer adhere to.
We're much more of a mirror of the community, so our letters to the editor are still very, very vibrant. We still have opinion pages, but it's our community's opinions.
All right, David, what's your policy? Do you do unsigned editorials in your hyper-local small markets? Do you, as the brand, not an individual, as a brand, make an endorsement, make a statement, and try to sway local opinion?
Yeah, Mike, so I'm a big believer in opinion pages generally. I think opinion pages are like the milk at the grocery store. You're not a grocery store unless you carry milk, right? I mean, you got the whole milk for the Make America Great Again people. You got the 2% for the people in the middle. You got the stuff that tastes like water for the kind of the leftists, but you got milk for everybody. And you got to have milk in the paper. You got to have an opinion page. And I went away from unsigned editorials, and instead I write a column every week with my face on it, my name on it.
It's you, not the brand.
It says I'm the owner of this paper that they're reading, and it has my email at the bottom. And at the end of every column I write, I say, readers, what do you think? Share your thoughts. And they do. And I went away from the unsigned editorial because I think unsigned editorials create confusion in readers. And we say, oh, those are the opinion of the paper. Well, is the carrier involved in this? No. Is the salesman out there? No. Is one of the line reporters involved in it? No. It's actually a committee of 5, right, that are the paper. And they're anonymous. And people don't like that. And we make readers put their name on their letter to the editor because we want transparency. But when it comes to editorials that we don't sign, it's not transparent. And I therefore went to this model that said, I'm the owner, I'm the person responsible, you don't like what I write, here's my email, write me. So I went to a slightly different model.
Michael, what's Gannett's policy on unsigned endorsements? Did Gannett do any presidential endorsements of any way, shape, form, or size in the last election cycle in any markets?
We had no endorsements for the presidential race at all.
You have local endorsements for races?
We do have.
Unsigned?
Again, it's unsigned, yes, in some markets. It's market autonomy. It's really more of a blend of both of what these gentlemen just said. We do voter guides. We have opinion pieces on what we believe each candidate stands on based on the interviews that we have with them. So we do believe the importance of helping readers in our local markets understand their local races. But for the presidential race, we do not.
I live in Nashville. The Tennessean, I don't remember, did it endorse a political candidate to your knowledge? Unsigned. The Tennessean says vote for this guy.
I think the Tennessean did not. I believe the Tennessean had mostly interviews that they shared with the audience.
So as we go to our screen now and see how our audience is voting on the question, does your news organization still publish unsigned editorials or political endorsements? We see that the no's are about half the audience, 52%, and we've got 35% saying yes. So mostly no's in this room. Who did yes? Could someone raise their hand, please? Over here. I don't know who has mics. Shout it out. We're recording this for my show. Stand up, sir, in the back there, and shout out who you are, and I'll repeat it to the audience, please. Rehoboth Beach, Cape Gazette. Your first name, sir? Craig? Chris, I'm sorry. Okay, Chris, what is your policy? Who did you endorse? What was the reaction to that?
Ideas, policies, and, if there's a specific ordinance. We had a county council race that was very contested not that long ago, and instead of backing the candidate, there was a voluntary school assessment that had been contentious, couldn't pass. We went hard on supporting that as something voters should look at when they're choosing their candidate, because the existing candidate had clearly gone against it. The incoming candidate, who ended up winning, had stated from the beginning that she was for this VSA.
So you did unsigned. It was your...
Yeah, and when we publish our unsigned editorials, we name our editorial board. It's 5 of us.
You put the editorial board there.
This was written in conjunction with these 5 people, and we name all 5 people.
All right, who else said yes? Please raise a hand. We'd love your... Over here, sir. Please stand up. Ma'am. Oh, is that Judy? It's Judy. Judy, stand up. This is Dean. Dean, Judy, Dean. Thank you.
Sure. Can you hear me? Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Judy Terzotis. I'm CEO of George's Media. We own properties in Louisiana, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Acadiana, Lake Charles, and Shreveport. And we have a hybrid model, Mike, where we only endorse in New Orleans, and that it comes with a history. The prior owner, Advance, they also endorsed. That's where our owner lives. He grew up reading the endorsements of the Times-Picayune, and so we endorse only in that market because the history
It's a history. It's a heritage.
Pardon me?
It's expected by your audience.
Yes, it is. It's same where we list our editorial board. So they do know. Now, for us to that's on endorsements. For editorials, we run editorials in our southern markets in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Acadiana. And again, it's all local. We don't weigh in on anything nationally unless it has a profound impact on us locally. Then we will, talk about what that legislation might mean to our readers.
Does your inbox explode with hate mail when you do this?
Well, we've reshaped our editorial pages where twice a week we have what we call the town square, and so it's an issue and it's both sides. And then on Saturdays we take the 2 full pages and it's nothing but letters to the editor. And then finally on Sunday, our editorial editor, she writes a column and kind of summarizes the themes of all the letters that she's received. And that has kind of tapped down the negativity, because we can point to, hey, we're trying to make this your voice, not our voice.
Then let's thank Vanna. Thank you. I'm going to flip the letter now. Greg, can we go to question 2? Do you regularly publish opinion submissions from readers, community leaders, and local officials? Do you give them a voice, signed, but not from you, from a local leader, a local official? Please vote. Gannett. Where are you at on this puppy?
So we absolutely, again, markets are different, our audiences are different. I would hate to sit up here and say that all of our audiences are the same, but letters to the editor are one of the most powerful things that we can publish in our local newspapers. We have just introduced a product called Forum at USA Today for more of a national look. So we pose a question each week on some hot topic, whether it's tariffs or whether it's immigration, and we get voices of people from around the country, and we publish those every Monday. And we also have a podcast off of that, because we have people and we have them in their voice saying how they feel on those topics.
But God forbid you do things based on metrics. I'm saying that sarcastically. How popular are these pages? How important is it to your mission to build audience? What kind of traffic are you getting?
The traffic is good because we're giving the audience what they're asking for. And the audience has said that they would like to have more of their voice represented, and we're doing that.
David, hum to yourself, because you're coming up next. Rob, I believe you do this in Spokane, correct? You allow community leaders regularly? Is it a special feature? How popular is it? What's your policy?
Yeah, we do it a lot. And we also have something called a super letter where if a reader writes a really thoughtful long letter, it can go out of the 250 words. But you can only have, I think, 4 of those a year, and some people would like 4 a week. And those are very popular. What's interesting is when you run a pro-con or, both sides of the issue, and someone will say, you didn't do a great job on the other side, and I'm like, that's not on me. You sent the wrong person then to write your case, So that's an always interesting thing is when somebody says, well, that wasn't a very strong opinion. I'm like, well, you got to try harder.
What kind of traffic are you getting? Is this a popular part of your...
If it's a hot button issue, it can be our most read story.
Really?
Yeah.
David, your policy, do you let the mayor or local official, do you give them, do you amplify their opinions? Do you have pages or places?
Yeah, Mike, so I'll mention 2 things. One, I'll take a real paper or a paper in Winter Haven in Polk County. So I write a column every week, which I've said, which is focused on issues, and I get a lot of feedback from readers, and quite often readers write me something like, Dunrankin, you're a moron. And then what I usually do is if I get one like that, I tell the editor to run that letter to the editor in really big font and have the headline be Dunrankin is a moron, and run that letter so that people understand that we can dish it out and we can take it. And then in that paper, so I write in that paper every week. Our publisher writes a column every week. She grew up in that community. She talks about what it was like growing up there, sometimes about being a gay woman growing up there. And then the local sheriff, Grady Judd, writes for us, the most dangerous place in Polk County is in between Grady Judd and a microphone, and because he'll run you over. And love our sheriff. He writes every week. The chairman of the County Board of Commissioners writes a column for us every week about local issues that they're wrestling with as a county commission. The school superintendent writes for us every month. Both congressmen write for us on a monthly basis. And then we have other civic leaders who write for us regularly. That's an example of one paper.
Big board in front of our audience here in Orlando, where the response to the question, do you regularly publish opinion submissions from readers, community leaders, or local officials, is resoundingly yes. 89% of our audience says yes, only 11% says no. With that being said, gentlemen, we're going to move on to our next topic. Is that okay with you? Topic number 3. This is near and dear to you, Michael, I think, because this is part of your bailiwick. Does your paper run national syndicated opinion columnists or political cartoons? Do you invest energy, time, space, pages, what have you, to run national syndicated columns or run editorial cartoons? I want to start with Gannett because I've had Rex Humpke on my show. And he is a very polarizing columnist, very far left. He's still, we have an archive. I've had 280 episodes of my vodcast over years. His is still the highest trafficked. I mean, when I look back, and it's still getting downloaded, my YouTube page has tons of people hating him and screaming that this man is a left-winged idiot and all this. And you proudly put him in local papers and put him on. What is your rationale behind this? How many columnists are under your purview, and why is Gannett doing this?
That was a lot in that
Thank
question.
you.
So first of all, Rex is a wonderful columnist. Yes, he is very opinionated, but he is he's liked, and even the people who hate him love to hate him, and they continue to read him.
I agree.
So We don't, I never tell a local paper, so you say you were in Nashville or live in Nashville, I would never say the Tennessean has to run Rex column. They have the option to run it. We don't run national columnists anymore in any of our publications because we're hyper local focused. And so
This is a digital audience for Rex across the network.
So across the network, our USA Today opinion columnists can be picked up by our local sites if they choose to. But again, they need to know their audience, and when they do, they know whether a left-leaning columnist will work well in their audience, or whether we have 3 left-leaning columnists at USA Today, we have 3 right-leaning columnists at USA Today.
I was about to ask, what is the ratio?
Yes.
How far right is who is your farthest right columnist?
See, now I'm having to make an opinion here. I would say that probably Nicole Russell is the furthest.
I know. And the traffic is good in all these? Are these audience builders for the network?
Audience builders, it is providing the different audiences, because again, all audiences aren't the same, but it's providing our different audiences an insight into what they're interested in. And we try to make sure that we publish in a way that people can see different sides. But if you are a Rex lover, you're going to gravitate toward Rex, and we want to provide that for you. If you are an Ingrid lover, you will gravitate toward her work. And we try to make sure it's available for all of our audiences.
David, when I asked David to be on the panel, I investigated his newspapers. I went online and looked, and you have political cartoons, and I called you and I said, wait a second, on Tuesday, or it was like 1 week, you ran a left, and then the next week you ran a right. These were political cartoons. What is your policy? Why are you doing both sides? What are you doing with this?
Thanks, Mike. So we don't run any national opinion stuff in our weeklies. I already talked about what we're doing in Winter Haven. With our small daily that's in Citrus and Kettle and Trump country, we try to run about 50% right and about 50% left, both in the opinion columns and in the editorial cartoons. And sometimes, again, because my emails in my column every week, I get love letters that tell me I am a leftist commie, and they complain about the opinion page. And I say, will you do me a favor? And for the next month, count the opinions and tell me how many are left and how many are right and how many editorial cartoons are left and right. Because we try to count and end up around 50-50. And quite often they do count and they're like, oh yeah, well, you're about 54% liberal. I'm like, well, okay. And we also might get columns from our brothers and sister papers in Florida who have really just superior writers who write about important issues that they've done the research on, and those we try to do about 50% left and right.
So you're in the middle. You're
Yes.
splitting it even in these red districts. Rob, correct me if I'm wrong. You don't do those, do you?
We don't do like we used to, but we still run national columnists. But we get emails from our readers saying that we have to quit running the liberal.
Really?
Will.
All right. And how about cartoons? You running any at all?
Yeah, but our plan is we have an e-edition every afternoon.
Yeah.
We have an afternoon paper that's just e-edition only, and it's to move our opinions there. We initially were going to do that last year, but we decided to wait till we got through the presidential cycle, and then we're going to go straight to just all local in the print, and the national will be in the e-edition.
All right, let's look at the screen now and see what the survey shows for this question. Does your paper run national syndicated opinion columnists or editorial cartoons? And we see the audience heavily in favor of yes, 69%, with no running in about 25%. All right, this isn't hyperlocal now. This is national. These are bringing in cartoons. Some people said, no, can I try this again? Who's decided not to run national com? Can you just share with the audience why you don't? Anyone? Please. Come on. There must be. Yes, sir. Please stand up and share. Who are you? And what are you doing when it comes to national columns, cartoons, and what have you?
My name's Todd Benoit, and I'm at Bangor Daily News
Oh, Todd.
in Bangor,
Good to
Maine.
see you.
And we recently reduced the number of days that we're running opinion because no one was reading it.
Really?
Not popular. Yeah, really. And so when we did that, we eliminated the national stuff and focused on getting more provocative local stuff. And I think that's working. So our opinion page team now spends more time developing sources within Maine for us to come up with more interesting commentary than what we had before. So it's more active and less passive.
Can you give me an example of something hyper-local, really polarizing?
Well, the big thing right now is what our governor, Janet Mills, is doing versus Donald Trump. So what does expert opinion say is her legal grounds to do that on, for instance? So we want someone from Maine School of Law to write a piece that says, all right, so here's what our statute says in Maine, here's what Donald Trump is citing, how does that work, and what side, in this case, does that commentator take?
And you're okay when the inbox explodes. This is good. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. It's
I'll tell you one other thing. We endorsed Kamala Harris and expected our inboxes to explode, and there was nothing. Dead air. And that told me no one cared about our opinions any longer. So that's gave us further impetus to reduce the number of days.
In Bangor, you endorsed Kamala Harris.
Our district went for Donald Trump.
Of course.
Our editorial went for Kamala Harris. Nothing.
And nobody cared.
Nobody. Relatively nobody cared. We always get, as these gentlemen has pointed out, we always get responses often from the same people. And
Oh, yeah, so do I.
But generally, yeah, it was nothing. And that just told us. And the
That's
numbers
really
tell us as
telling,
well.
isn't it?
The numbers say that opinion pages, you can track them over the years, that one of you set up here that you can get your opinion elsewhere. That's what we're finding. People are going elsewhere for their opinion. And
It's a different world, isn't it? I mean, in the old days, the paper was everybody's. I mean, here's a section for grandpa, here's the comics for the kids, here's home and garden. People get their verticals elsewhere. Correct me if I'm wrong, our bailiwick is hyper-local reporting, correct? That's what we should be doing.
we used to have dress patterns in movie reviews. There's
Right.
no point to either anymore.
It's a different world now. We have to, so we evolve and change. Anybody else want to participate in this? Yes or no, please? Come on. Shake off last night's partying. Give me a hand. Anyone? All right, we'll move on to the next question. We got 2 more left. Hang in there. About 15 minutes to go. Have you ever pulled an editorial, an opinion piece, due to legal or political concerns? Have you ever just got antsy, thought about running it, and you said, nah, I ain't going to run this thing? I mean, please vote now. Let us know what you're thinking. Whoop, looks like we're getting more no's, a few not sure's. Michael?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, sir. Have you ever gotten a submission, an editorial, and decided not to run it because it was not because it was poor journalism or the guy was an idiot, because you just didn't want to get into the fray?
No, we don't back down.
It's okay.
If it is relevant and it is written well and it is factually correct, we would not back away from it.
All right, David, have you ever pulled a piece? Have you ever decided, I'm not running this?
I have sent things back, and there's a couple I wish I had sent back, and I'll give you a quick story.
Please.
My favorite mayor in Punta Gorda called me on my cell phone and started just ripping me a new one, and I had to hold the phone out here.
Right.
And after about 2 minutes, I had to break it because he was on a rant. I said, well, Mr. Mayor, you sound mad. And he said to me, true story, David, I am so mad. I want you to take your damn paper and stick it where the sun don't shine. And I was like, oh. He said, yeah, but not the Sunday paper. I'm not that mad. True story. So he came in, and I said, come on in, Mr. Mayor. Tell us what we screwed up. And so we got the committee of 5 who wrote the editorial, and this was editorial I should have sent back. I knew better. And he told us all the things we had gotten wrong in the editorial, and he was mostly right. And they argued with him, blah, 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 blah. And I said, Mr. Mayor, I totally see your point. We're going to write an editorial in about 2 days that says, Mayor says Son has it all wrong, and we're going to outline all your arguments. And we will not, try to rebut those arguments, and I think that's fair for us to do. And he said, no, David. If you write another damn editorial about this, people are going to wait, what's going on? They wrote about it twice. He said, they've already forgotten what you wrote about. He said, I just came here to tell you you were wrong and you didn't do your homework. And this is the part where I should have pulled it. So he left, and I said to the committee of 5, hey, I have a rule, it's David's rule, that we do not write about a person unless we talk to them first. Isn't that my rule? And they said, yes, that's your rule. And I said, and we clearly didn't talk to the city manager or the mayor before we wrote this. They said, well, it was 4:30 and we sent him an email and he didn't respond by press time. I said, oh, is that David's rule? You can write about somebody as long as you send an email at 4:30 right before press time and they don't respond? I said, that's not my rule. You guys know that's not my rule. And in fact, because you don't understand that that's my rule, the next person who does that, I am going to fire. And then I'm going to fire you, who's the executive editor at the same time, because you don't get it. Our job is not to be fair. Fair is an opinion, but our job is to be accurate. And and that editorial was not accurate because we didn't do our daggum homework. And when I read it, I was like, I don't feel right about this. I don't know what it is. And I should have pulled it and said, hey, I'd like to talk to you about doing it. And that's on me. So I actually think requiring people to do more homework is better because, and I'll get into trouble here, but I often read national publications like the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, and when their committee of 5 writes about something that I know about a lot, I often go, well, these people didn't do any homework. They could have done 30 seconds of homework and found out that factually they were wrong. And we should consider pulling more things and making sure that we're accurate, because accuracy builds trust.
Hear, hear.
Fairness is an opinion.
Hear, hear. That's quite a story, David. Let's go to the screen. Let's see what the audience here is polling on this question. Have you ever pulled or edited an opinion piece due to legal or political concerns? The no's have it by at least half. Half the audience here in Orlando says no. We got yeses at 28%. Has anyone in this room, I mean, the question really is interesting. Has anyone in this room gotten the national syndicated column that you usually run or a political cartoon you usually run and said, no, this is too polarizing, this is not relevant to my audience, I'm pulling it? Raise hands, anyone? Has anyone made that decision over here? Could you stand up, please?
I think we don't run as many of the national columnists as we used to, and some of them that we do are I kind of approve them, but our copy desk looks at them and they run stuff by me, because if it's just going to be, I'm just go on a tear against Trump, I'm not going to run it. It just, we try to stay more towards the middle. I'm like trying to pull.
My quote from the Broadway show, it wasn't it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
You got enough to do. You got to work on your journalism. You got to tell your stories. Why am I even bothering to do this in today's world?
Right. And the cartoons, I find it really hard to find decent cartoons on the right side. I mean, I'm paying extra just to get some that are conservative and not terrible.
You got a head nod here.
Yeah.
So there's tons of left, but there's not enough right.
Yeah.
What kind of town? Where again? Where are you?
Butte, Iowa.
Oh, okay. So we're talking red.
Now we are. Dubuque is it's a blue collar, or it's a union town. Used to be a very blue town. We recently elected our first Republican in county government. Since I've been at the paper, but it had been 55 years since there was a Republican in the courthouse, but now that's changed.
Okay. Well, thank you for participating. All right. We're going to do the last question, which we set up hopefully through this entire dialogue. And this is important. Do you think we should increase our op-eds, our opinion pieces? Do you think we should do more? Or should we stay the same and just do what we're currently doing? Or is it time as an industry to scale back? Should we look at the new world? If people want to get far left and far right, go somewhere else. If people want to know who to vote for, watch the evening talk shows. I'm going to do local journalism. That's my job. I'm done in this centuries of op-eds. Dean, are you in the audience? Mr. Dean Ridings, are you here? Do you have a mic, or do you not? Dean, how do you feel about, on behalf of just as the CEO of America's Newspapers, our challenge to maintain audience? Am I allowed to ask you that, sir? This is your show. By the way, can we have a round of applause for America's Newspapers, Dean Ridings, and this amazing show? What do you think, Dean? You put out a little bit of an op-ed on this, did you not?
First of all, I think our members are right.
What?
First of all, I think our members are correct, whatever they're doing.
Right.
I love our members. Now, I think we live in polarizing times, and from a business perspective, audience is critical. We don't have a future without audience. And these more polarizing columnists and opinion pieces, we're losing audience. We live in incredibly polarizing times. People are here, they're here, and you lose half your audience when you go down either direction. And I don't think we can afford to lose audience. And I'm not saying be cowardly, but is this what we do, number one? I think we have to reevaluate what it is we're doing.
But sometimes that power, remember the days?
Oh, we love that power.
It was back in the old days. When I was first out there teaching people what the internet was, the presses were still in the building. The publisher had the big office with like a receptionist, and and this was my job. This is my town. We're in a different mode now. It's not
trust is eroding. We're continuing to see. We did research last year that indicates that trust in local newspapers is declining. We used to hold ourselves up to how much better we are than the national media. That difference is eroding. And I think we need to be careful. If you look at, again, I'm speaking from a pragmatic business perspective, I think we need to be careful.
We're a billboard in a basement, right? We're not, what's the use? We need that audience to be relevant. Rob Curley, more, less, stay the same.
We could run pro-con every day, I would, but we can't find that many people who want to conjugate verbs publicly.
Okay. Every time I'm asked, and this is the number one question I think Robin and I get, no matter where we go, or someone calls me and says, Mike, what is the secret sauce? Everybody talks about sustainability. What? You do all this reporting, you're out there at conference. What is the number one business model thing I should be doing to survive in this world? And Robin will agree with me, and I think you've heard it already here. Just tell good stories. Local journalism. Every success I've seen, from Hearst, Connecticut, tripling their digital subscription base, to the Baltimore Banner, who is now on fire with if the journalism is there first, am I right? Blocking and tackling, everything else just comes behind it, Rob?
Oh, absolutely. 8 years ago, we switched our front page to 100% local, and it was the difference maker.
Yeah. When I look at the business of E&P, as long as the stories are there and the audience is reacting, I can fix everything else, right? But if I lose that, I'm in trouble. Michael, you were nodding your head when I talked about storytelling, local journalism. Do you agree?
I agree with my panelists. I also agree with what the statements that were just made there. Yes, there's something to be said about storytelling. I truly believe that we have to lean in to the moment that we're in. In just saying it in a different way, I believe that we all have to be essential to the markets that we serve, and if we're seen as essential, we will be in a much better position. But we have to do that in a fearless manner. I do not like the idea. I think the question was, should we retreat? I consider retreat as a defeat. I think we have to lean into what we're doing, and we have to do it better and we have to be smarter about it. We have to listen to our audience, and I know you mentioned metrics. Metrics are no more than what is moving off the shelves of the store. If you're not selling it, then, and people don't want to buy it, then you're not selling the right product. So I believe that we just have to keep leaning and experimenting and trying new things, and so that's exactly what we're doing at Gannett. I have the wonderful job of being able to experiment in different ways with trying to reach new audiences in places where they get the news. I was just at the University of Arizona earlier this week. I don't know. My days are blurring because I took a
the
red
Cronkite
eye.
School.
I took a red eye, so I'm not sure exactly what day it is.
Yeah.
But I can say that when I talk to students, it is a little disheartening when you say they ask you, well, what does Gannett do, or what is USA Today? But they still consume news. You just have to reach them where they're consuming it.
But isn't this the age-old question? When I was a young pup in the 80s, I went to my first NAB. I was in radio then. Fred Friendly was still alive, and he was on the stage. Edward R. Murrow's, it's on Broadway, by the way, whatever. And he said, the debate now is, do we tell them the news they want or the news they need? And that was part of the dialogue then.
That was part of the, we've got these big offices and big rooms, and we're the big people on the block. Part of the problem, and that was part of the problem with opinion from yesteryear, is that we're telling people what we want to tell them,
Edward R. Murrow.
What they want to know.
I mean, but if it wasn't for an Edward R. Murrow, would McCarthyism continue? I mean, there's so many sides to this argument, or this conundrum. David.
So I've got a little different take, Mike, which is, I think we're not biased and opinionated enough in our news. I think I got in this business to influence, to make my communities a better place. And I tell our folks who write for us, you need to be more biased and more opinionated in the news. And the reason I say that is we are here to make our communities a better place. And it is our job to find the heroes in that and to root for them just like we root for the high school football team. It's okay to root for the high school football team. It's okay to root for your city. And we're to find the people who are lifting it up, and if there are villains, it's okay to write about them too. That's the other part of it. And it's okay to say to people, this is our job. And yes, we're biased because we decide what we're writing about. That reflects a bias and opinion.
All news is biased.
We decide how big that article is going to be. That's a bias and opinion. We decide how big the headline is going to be, where it goes in the paper. The person who writes starts with biases and opinions. And let's not pretend like the news is not bias and opinion. Let's wear it proudly and say, this is who we are. We're here to fight for this city, to make it a better place. And that's not Republican. That's not Democrat. That's just an institution that says we have this community's back. And I wish our folks would do less reporting and more storytelling. And in a story, there has to be a hero. And there has to be a villain. And we need to do more of that and fight for these communities.
Well, with that being said, let's go to the big screen with our final question and see how our audience here in Orlando responded to, do you think opinion content should increase, stay the same, or scale back at your organization? 32% said increase, 42% stay the same, 23% scale back. Interesting. I'm out of time. How did we do? Is everybody happy? Did you get something out of this? Let me thank my panel. Your name again? We don't know who you are. Oh, Rob Curley, that's right. Rob, thank you. There's amazing insights. Michael, I know it was hard to get you on your busy schedule to come down here. Please enjoy the rest of the show. An honor to have you here. David, you and I are good friends. We love it. Thank you for your investment, and thank you for participating on the panel. I'm done. That's it. Mic drop. Have a wonderful rest of the show. Thank you.